I get that it's important and a precedent has to be set, but there's another part of me that thinks, can we all just get a grip and ignore these people?
Nadine Dorries and Jacob Rees-Mogg are among those heavily criticised by a Commons committee for waging a campaign to undermine the committee's investigation into Boris Johnson. So as the Privileges Committee, they were looking at whether or not he misled Parliament over breaches in Number 10. They've accused Boris Johnson and allies of vociferous attacks on the committee. It's just nice we can just keep talking about Boris Johnson, Matthew.
Yes, I know. He'll be sitting back somewhere, wherever he is now, just pleased to hear his name again on the radio. I heard your interview with Michael Fabricant. I think where the committee have made a mistake is the use of the word campaign. It's irrelevant whether there's a campaign or not. I know Michael Fabricant. He's an old friend, and he's a lone wolf. He's not a team player. He's not part of a campaign. It's what they said rather than whether what they said was part of a campaign. And what they said, what Jacob Rees-Mogg said, what Nadine Dorries and Michael Fabricant have said is completely out of order. You can criticise a committee for not having uncovered the evidence they should have. You could criticise them for having reached the wrong conclusions on the evidence that they had. But what you cannot do is impugn the integrity of the committee itself or members of the committee. And so if you suggest that they were prejudiced, that they were involved in a witch hunt, well, in a court of law, that would be contempt of court. And this is contempt of a select committee. And I think there's no way out of that.
And there's a long list. So in all, there's Nadine Dorries, Lord Zach Goldsmith, Mark Jenkinson as a Tory MP, Michael Fabricant, Brendan Clark-Smith's another MP, Nadine Dorries again, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Andrea Jenkins, Jacob Rees-Mogg again, Priti Patel, and then two more Nadine Dorrises.
I'm torn because I agree with everything Matthew just said about the principles at stake here. But at the same time, what has the committee ruled this morning? Well, they've effectively ruled that the people who still support Boris Johnson, with the possible exception of Zach Goldsmith, who's a serving government minister, it's effectively ruled that Boris Johnson's remaining supporters aren't serious people. And we knew that already. And there is a big part of me that thinks, and I completely agree with Matthew on the principle, but there is another part of me that thinks, if you can't cope with Michael Fabricant and Andrea Jenkins and Brendan Clark-Smith and Mark Jenkinson, I promise I'm not just making these names up now, using words like kangaroo court and witch hunt. Yes, I know the principle is important. I just there is a large part of me that thinks, surely that is a small price to pay for a process, actually, that wasn't undermined in the end. That it was successful. It has. Boris Johnson is no longer in political life in this country. It has ended Boris Johnson's political career. I get that it's important and a precedent has to be set, but there's another part of me that thinks, can we all just get a grip and ignore these people?
Well, I take your point there, though Jacob Rees-Mogg is a fairly serious intellect, I would say. But there is a bit of a precedent. If members of Parliament, when select committees report on whatever, start attacking the integrity of the select committee, it's not a good road to go down, and perhaps somebody should say so.
And actually, we have seen when Andrew Bridgen's a prime example, when he was investigated by the Commons
Standards
Commissioner. He was found to have breached lobbying rules, but actually then had his punishment increased because he sort of made threats and things towards the commission. So the idea that MPs should uphold the process, I suppose, is quite important. But maybe the mistake they've made is the point that you were making, Matthew. This report is called Coordinated Campaign of Interference in the Work of the Privileges Committee, and actually it's just a load of no mark MPs tweeting.
Well, and then the
things.
coordinated campaign is a pro forma campaign sent by Peter Cruddas' Conservative Democratic Organisation, which is effectively just a website and a Twitter account that sent 600 emails, pro forma emails, which I appreciate is annoying. And as you both say, if that's done a larger scale on a issue of greater national consequence, not that Boris Johnson's future isn't of national consequence to a certain extent, but there is a, to a certain extent, I just think giving Brendan Clark-Smith and Andrea Jenkins any airtime at all, even to condemn them, is a slippery slope.
I mean, Michael Fabricant will be over the moon that he had 5 minutes with you on Times Radio.
That's Sir Michael Fabricant.
Well, he came on the radio and said he loved me dearly, and I fear my reputation might never recover.